Hey everyone, my name is Erik Thor, and I wanted to make a video discussing not veganism as an issue. I'm not here to preach, I'm not here to talk about whether it's good or bad, but I wanted to make a video because I'm a vegan myself, or at least I'm a part-time vegan. I mostly eat a vegan diet, and I have been for about 6 years by now, and it's always been a big part of my identity, I guess. And I wanted to just talk about like what led me there and like how it fits with who I am and how I think and my personality type as an INFJ. And I think a lot of NFs are biased in that direction. I think a lot of NFs are very open to the concept of if animals have feelings, or if even plants have feelings or a consciousness or personalities of their own. And I think a lot of NFs have that, and I think a lot of us will find ourselves thinking about going vegan, or at least we'll be thinking about those issues. And then there's the whole environmental discussion as well, which I think attracts a lot of antis. A lot of people will, for various reasons, be thinking about the questions of animal ethics and animal rights and of whether we should be eating animals. But what I think drove me there in that direction was, of course, I always had a high ability to empathize with others, and I grew up with animals, and I found myself a lot of time getting angry at animal abuse and caring a lot when I saw animals fall into harm, or animals that were treated badly by their owners or by other kids. And I remember, like, when I was 7, I saw a friend of mine treat a cat badly. He took the cat, he put the cat on a sleigh ride thing and drove it down a hill. And I was like, got so angry, so upset with him. I remember I didn't speak to him for weeks after that. I think that was when I stopped hanging out with that guy. And to me, like, the thought of like enjoying animal abuse and like that whole thing has always been very icky with me. Like, that's almost a psychopath trait to my belief. I think most of us don't really want to harm animals, and most of us care for animals. Not all of us are vegan or vegetarian, but most of us claim to, or on some level care about animals and wouldn't want to treat an animal badly intentionally. I think a person who is more likely to empathize and relate to other people is also generally going to be more likely to empathize with animals. And I think that make the discussion make so much intuitive sense to me. Like, I remember I was 12 years old, I spoke to a girl online, and she told me she was a vegetarian, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, intuitively, yeah, I want to be a vegetarian too. That sounds right, that sounds good. However, like, the process of getting there and actually becoming a vegetarian was very difficult for me, because it required me to actually kind of rebel against my own home and against my own parents, in a sense, because to them eating animals made so much sense, and it was a thing they had always done. And for them, they felt personally attacked in a sense, because they love to make food for me, and they know how much I love food, and they go like, what? Vegetarian? He's not gonna eat my food, but I love making food for him, and I really want to make food for him. And they can really, that really put me in a bad situation. And really the only thing that made me go vegan was the support of my friends. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I had a close friend of mine who were both staunchly vegan, and both were very preachy in the sense. They really wanted me to go vegan as well, and they noticed I was open to it, which made them, I guess, try even harder. And I think a lot of NFs are going to be very open to the thought of going vegan, and they will all be really open to the thought of like engaging themselves in animal rights issues and the likes. But I think a lot of not all NFs will be, and I can see a lot of issues for this. I think the biggest thing that can keep an NF from going vegan or from thinking about vegetarian issues is like it can be an issue that brings up a huge amount of shame, because like to even think of oneself as someone who hurts and mistreats animals. I think that's a very hard thing to even consider. Like, but I care about animals. Why can't I eat them? And I'm not the one who harms them. I wouldn't slaughter an animal myself. But if they're already dead, like there can be so many thoughts that come to mind when you're thinking about going vegan or going vegetarian. And there can be a little shame involved in it too, so it's easy to get a little defensive about the issue and to get a little unsure about like the question in itself. And there are so many things in society that can keep us from going vegan, in the sense that, well, we can think about costs, we're not sure what to eat, we're not sure what's right to eat, it's like learning something completely new to us, and it can feel like a difficult transition. To me, 5 years being a vegan, 6 years even being a vegan, it's like wearing pants. Like, I always wear pants. I don't know, it's not a controversial issue to me. It's not hard for me. I can get by very easily. I know exactly what to pick out at the warehouse, and there's lots of options for me. But of course, to someone who has never even thought in that direction, I think a lot of people go around in the warehouse and they're completely blind to the vegetable section, and they are completely blind to the vegan section. They've never they've never been there. And then the idea of going vegan is like imagining yourself not eating anymore. Suddenly half your food plate is gone. Where did all the food go? I will starve. I don't know what to do. And it still surprises me how many people I meet that haven't ever tried vegan food and that don't want to do it. I think in many ways also another thing that can drive people to going vegan is the whole environmentalist thing. I think that's really driven people in that direction, and I think that actually attracts a lot of NTs as well. A lot of NTs seem to come from the angle of wanting to do something good for the environment, and from thinking about if the environment or the planet can support the amount of meat we're eating today, because we're eating more meat than ever, and we're a very meat-hungry culture. And I see a lot of NTs show interest in lab-grown meat, or in there's these projects about extracting protein from plants and somehow making meat alternatives in that way as well. But already there are so many good options. Like people have been able to, in Sweden, they call it the next generation of soy, and it's called Oomph, and it's served in many restaurants, and it's a very popular dish, even to non-vegans, because it's just amazing. It's like it's not meat, of course, but it's something else just as good, and in many ways it has its own superiorities. I think when it comes down to like the personality types that go vegan, I think I've met so many INFP vegans, and I've met a lot of INFJ vegans, and I met a lot of ENFP vegans as well, and some INTPs, and INTJs, of course. For the most part, it's something that requires you to rebel against an established norm in society. It's a norm, of course, and if you're a type that is sensitive to social norms and to fitting in, going vegan can be a difficult choice. If you're a person who is more traditional, changing your plate and your dish and your food can also be difficult. But I noticed even with ISTJs that usually the thing with ISTJs and STs isn't that STs are that sensitive to what they eat or the ethics of eating. They eat what they are served, and if you go to a warehouse, meat is usually very close at hand, and it's very easy to pick. So that's usually the thing that gets an ST in that direction. I think if everyone goes vegan, if there becomes like a huge shift where the warehouses, where we decrease our meat consumption by 40 or 80% in the future, that's possible, by the way. A lot of STs are also going to change, and a lot of SFs will too. It's just today, like when at the moment a lot of people eat meat, and it's such a cultural thing. You go to a Christmas party, and of course, if you don't eat meat, you're committing a traditional felony, almost. And if you're hanging out with friends and they cooked for you, of course you should eat what they serve you. Like there's so many like culturally implied things here that can steer people away from it. And it's a practice in confidence also, like standing up for your own diet and making your own choices. That's not just for veganism, it's for all kinds of dietary preferences, and for like what you wear and everything. And it used to be a bigger NF thing, I think, because I think overall NFs tend to be the front runners of new ideals. But I think today it's becoming even an NT thing, or even an SF thing for some, maybe. Now I think the biggest issue is like it's learning a new diet, and it's like learning to adapt to new health issues and new health standards, like what's healthy when it comes to vegan food, and how does that affect us in the long term. We can look to India, where most people are vegetarians or vegans, and see that it's at least healthy. It's not unhealthy. Far from it. It appears to be, on the contrary, more healthy usually. But there's still a lot to learn about the right products, and how to the new food pyramid in a sense, and how people should eat in the future. So being vegan is also exploring something completely new. It's a new world opening to you. Suddenly there's like hundreds of new food choices and new items that you've never even considered. For me, that's always an adventure. Whenever I go to a new town, it's like, what kind of food can I expect here? When I wasn't a vegan, like I always ate the same food. I went for the Max Burger, the original one. I went for pizza with ham or something, and I loved chicken, and that was it. In a sense, that's what I got. That's what I ate. But now it's like there are so many different options, and that has really also opened me to eating in different ways and trying out new things. And I personally, I find that to be the best thing about being vegan. I think perhaps the most difficult thing about being vegan, of course, that's the whole adapting, in a sense, when there's no cheese, when there's no vegan options, when there's just one option. Sometimes when there's just one option, I'm happy, because then I don't have to think about it, of course. But if the option sucks, that's terrible. If vegan food is just vegetables with rice compared to vegetables and meat with rice, then that feels like I'm starved from something. And that's usually the problem for a lot of people. They think when it comes to being vegetarian that it's about starving yourself from something, cutting something out instead of adding something new, replacing it. And also, I guess the whole issue with being vegan is like adapting to your family and with your friends, and that whole issue. And like I said, I don't want to be preachy in any way, and I find that people are very sensitive when it comes to these issues. So, like diet is like, it's like the question of what you wear, and it's the question of who you date, and it's the question of like, it's such a private decision in many ways to a lot of people. So it's not like discussing like a political issue. It's hard to be objective about it. And it's hard not to offend someone when it comes down to it, because people obviously care a lot about this issue, and it's important to a lot of people, both meat eaters and vegans. Anyways, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, share, subscribe, or share your thoughts about being vegan, and like how you feel about it, what you think about it, and perhaps how do you think it relates to being an NF or an NT or so. Thank you for watching this video, and may your neurons be with you.